Today we are unboxing what is maybe one of the most elusive watches on AliExpress, the Thorn TO26. And this is a homage, or rather a copage, of the Omega Seamaster 300. It is a whole collection, actually, with the three watches, the original Speedmaster, this Seamaster, and the Railmaster, which all of them were released in 1957 by Omega and re-released in 2017 to mark the 60th anniversary. But you guys are not here for a history lesson, you guys are here to see this watch. And take a look at the box. It is a little small box, which is great because it will not be a hassle to keep around the house, but the watch is well protected within it, that is great. So it comes well packaged, and that is always good news. It comes wrapped, that to protect the strap, and you've got everything in here. And I'm gonna take off all the plastics, lots and lots of them. I don't want to bore you with that, and I'll get back to you once everything is taken care of. All right, it is all sized up for me and everything, and what a beauty. I am a fan of the original 2914 Seamaster, so of course I'm going to consider this a very nice watch, but it is a quite qualitative timepiece. Take a look at the brushings, the polishings, everything is quite high quality, very much high quality, especially given the price of this watch, which is oscillating between the 180 to 230 whenever you can get it, and that is quite hard. But the quality, first of all, of the brushing, the polishing is really good. I wouldn't say as much as a Saint Martin level, but almost getting there. Now we're gonna see other things that are gonna determine the quality of the timepiece. For example, the rotating mechanism. First of all, let me tell you that everything is lined up in there, so that is good news. But if we rotate, the rotation is quite easy, so there's not a lot of pressure to be applied there, but it does feel secure and it does feel quite clicky. Listen to that quite high-pitched sound. Yeah, it is good and reassuring, so very nice, that one. What I noticed though, however, is that the screwing of the crown is not as silky smooth as I would have wished. When you give power to the movement, that's okay, that is your typical PT5000 powering this watch, but when you screw down the crown, you notice that, it is a bit hard in there. Maybe a little bit of grease will suffice to soften that one. The dial is quite nice in there. You see all that vintage patina. Dimensions wise, you're looking at 37 millimeters in diameter by 11.9 millimeters in thickness because of that really highly domed sapphire crystal. You're looking at a log-to-log of almost 47, which is quite large for a 38 millimeter in diameter watch, but this is the way it is. And you're looking at a 19 millimeters in log width, which is quite typical, but in line with the original model. And the bracelet goes from 19 to almost 16, so do keep that in mind. Let's see if we've got sapphire here. Of course we do, but we always have to check in any case. And as you can see, we absolutely have sapphire, which is great news. You also have a quite nice on-the-fly adjustment system, which works quite well, as you can see, and gives you like half a centimeter of adjustment, which is quite enough. That sapphire crystal, though, is something quite nice. You can see that it is really domed, top hat, some would say. I say that it is quite top hatty, but look at that, it is very, very nice. As you can see, the crown itself is also signed with that kind of rose in there. The hands also are exactly the same hands. This is a coupage, let's be honest, and they're exactly the same hands, exactly the same markers as the vintage model and the reissue, of course. Just the thing that changes is the fact that you've got the Thorn logo in there, the Thorn rose in there, Thorn in full letters and automatic, and very cheekily written in there, Sea Monster 300 instead of Seamaster. That is a great little detail in there. What else to say about this watch? If you look at the back, you can see that you've got once again that logo really well embossed in there, with an encircling embossing as well, which is very well made, and you've got a quick release strap in there, which is really good. And of course you've got a toolless adjusting mechanism in here as well, which is wonderful. As I have previously mentioned, the movement here is the PT5000, so a Chinese clone of the ETA 2824, and we will see directly how it goes in the time grapher. Precision wise, we've got a plus 10 in there, which is not amazing for this movement, but it is not bad as well. Well, plus 12. Yeah, I'm not really thrilled with that precision, but it could be much, much worse, as you know, in other types of movements, and we will see with other angles. Yeah, it stays consistent in other positions. Good news is it stays quite consistent in other positions, which is good for the movement. Just a little adjustment and you can get it running excellently well. Well, in conclusion, what to make of this Thorn TO26? Well, the positives first, it is a really beautiful watch, once again, not thanks to Thorn, but I do believe that they have really managed to put in the quality in here. The only bad quality aspect in here is the threading of the crown when you screw it in, and that can be solved quite easily with a little bit of grease in there, so that's okay. All the rest is good, down from the finishing, the beautiful finishing, to the rotating of the crown, to the bracelet, to the on-the-fly adjustment of the clasp. All that is really, really good. Even the lume is quite respectable, even though they are using this old radium. That is quite potent at first, but then it fades as usual. That is not something unique to this watch. It happens in all of the watches using this kind of treatment. The less positive things, first of all, that movement, it is not bad, but having had other PT5000s, I was expecting something better. Of course, this can be down to the unit you receive, so yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Other things that as I have said, the threading of the crown, which is not wonderful, the little box which comes with no tools to adjust his watch, even though you've got screws to adjust. If you're a watch enthusiast, of course you're gonna have those lying around, but some of you might not, just in case. Do know that. Another negative is that the PT5000 has a ghost date, so do keep that in mind in case it bothers you. So a lot to like in here. Some things not to like. If you like the first CK2913 and you cannot get it because it costs 20, 30, 40,000 dollars or euros, and you don't want to stretch it to 6 or 8,000 euros for the reissue, you can always get this one in case you can find it. And that is the biggest flaw of this watch, the availability. But that does say things about the quality and the fact that you do get a good thing here for what you pay. I think for $200 it is a really good buy. If you stayed until the end, it's because you like these kind of watches, high quality at great prices. I'm going to leave you here with my best selection, the best watches that I reviewed in the whole of 2025. I'll see you right away in this video.